Hello. Can people see me? Hear me? Where's the thingamajig? Hello? Testing? Testing? It looks like it's working. It looks like the music's not too loud. There's still no stream setup because I'm having trouble figuring out how to make OBS work. So we're dealing with that. Is the mic in a good spot? Hello, Willis, Padawan, Adam, Levi. We'll give it a sec and let folks kind of stream in while I attempt to make some sense of this messy alphabet. Jesus, okay. Okay, that's a letter B, that's a C, this isn't gonna make no sense. It's a tier list. I thought it would be fun. At first I was gonna do all games, and I was like, nah, let's start. We gotta cover horror and horror-adjacent things, because that's my jam. But we'll talk about what I've got set up here once we got some more folks, and I have somewhat organized it. Okay, that's basically Dishonored goes over here, after the E's. Silent Hill, Silent Hill, Silent Hill. Echo Knight, you go up there. Signalis, you go down there. You'll go with the Silent Hills. You go with the Silent Hills. Why is Serena in here twice? Okay, I guess you just get to be here twice. Okay, Kodelka's there, Silent Hill's down there. Faith goes up here. Silent Hill, you go down here. Clock Tower up here. Where's Haunting Ground? We'll put Haunting Ground with the Clock Tower. Alan Wake. Hello, folks. Just cleaning up my mess a little and pretending I know the alphabet. Fatal Frame goes with the F. There's another Fatal Frame around here somewhere that needs to go with the F. There it is. Silent Hill, Silent Hill. Okay, Devil May Cry. You go up here with your other friend. Where's your other buddies? Where's 1 and 2? Do we not have 1? Oh, there's 2. In the wrong spot. Where's number 1? Where's number 1? Where's number 1? Well, where is number 1? Did it upload everything I told it to? I don't know, maybe it didn't. I feel like I had more video games. Where's Devil May Cry 1? Am I just blind? Do you guys see Devil May Cry 1? Wow, hello folks. The computer screen's yellow. Oh, that's my light thing. How do I... disable. Yeah, that's for not having bad eyesight. Hello, folks. Caffeine, Lobsel, Abigail, JH, Kosaka, and if I mispronounce anyone's names, feel free to yell at me. Mad Belmont, Levi, hello. You're gonna love the new SMT5 stuff. Yeah, I've been watching, / reading your Twitter about you playing it, and it's making me go against my initial thought of I should just finish playing the one that I have and then I can replay it later when I want to and play the new one. Hello. Yeah, so let me adjust. This is still weird because I don't like OBS. I don't understand how to make it do anything. So there's no stream setup. I've been trying to make it do what I want, but I think I'm just gonna have to use a different program that I understand how to use better. Desktop audio got real loud all of a sudden. What song is playing? Alright, I'm just gonna turn that down. Never really thought of DMC as a horror game. Yeah, so this is horror-related games and things. I don't know, I feel like some stuff is missing, but I can always, we'll look in the folder after, maybe. I pulled a bunch of games here. Yeah, I definitely don't think I see Bayonetta. Does it not like some of the images? Does it not like them? Oh no, there's Bayonetta. Does it got Hellblade? Okay, well, I don't know. If there's something missing, whatever. I tried. I just felt like I needed a few more games to make it a little fuller, and I decided, well, we'll throw some, like, horror-adjacent things in there. Because surprisingly, like, I don't know, I'm the kind of person that continues to replay all the same games all the time, I guess, so I haven't played a lot of games, but I've played a handful of games a lot of times, as you all probably know, but we're gonna do a horror tier list. These are all games I've played in their entirety. There's a lot of other horror games I've experienced, and not finished, or that I've watched someone else play in a live stream. I didn't want to include those on the list just because I felt like I have a more personal opinion if it's like a game I've actually played, you know? Maybe I make a little, there we go, we could be on the, there we go. I don't know how to like make this full screen tier list, but oh well. Anyway, so yeah, let's see. There's only a handful of games in here I've not entirely finished. I got really close, or enough that I have an opinion. So let's go ahead and start with what we know for sure, which is this. No, I'm just kidding. We'll leave it there for now, for fun. Why is there only... Okay, I guess that's fine. 5 categories. That one can stay there for now. Let's do the ones that I know are my favorite of all time. And so we're going to put Fata Morgana in S tier. Immediately. S tier. If you do not know, House of Fata Morgana is a visual novel that's probably, it's horror adjacent, like it's a horrific atmosphere and a really horrific narrative, like really bad things happen to the main characters, but I don't know that you would call it a horror game. Like, you're not, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but you don't have a lot of interests, there's no actions to take. It's almost a movie, but the presentation of it as a game where you're a main character that's supposed to be able to take actions and change things is part of what makes it so powerful, because the main character is helpless and cannot change anything. Like, a lot of what you're seeing is history. It's events that have happened in the past, and so it reinforces the idea that, you know, you cannot change any of these horrible things that have happened. You just have to accept reality as it is. And it's just really well done. And there's a really emotional build-up, and it's great. If you want to hear it, see it, I live streamed it ages ago, and it's on the archive channel. It's so good. It's so good. I love it. A visual novel is like a playable novel with, you know, text on the bottom and what have you. There's lots of different varieties, but that is like my favorite of all time. Another visual novel we played recently was Saint Maker, which I really enjoyed. I think B tier is good, just because, like, it's a solid experience. I really enjoyed it. It's another one that kind of plays the whole, it gives you choices, but the choices don't actually mean anything. It's more playable, I think, than this. This is, like, literally there's 2 choices in the whole game. This one presents itself more like a video game. It's not like the most mind-blowing thing of all time, but it is a solid experience, and it's very well done. So I would recommend visual novel and horror fans to try it. Black Mirror. Oh, Black Mirror. I think you're a C tier. You're not a bad game. Black Mirror is an old, like, not old, man, what is time? It is a reimagining, in the modern console era, like PS4 era, of the old Black Mirror, like, PC games, and it was good. It felt unfinished. It was only like 2 hours long, which for like a, you know, AAA full price video game is absurd. When you put in that much, like, it's not from a sense of you can't make a good experience 2 hours long at that level, but like, if you're putting that much money into all of your resources and your environment, like, do more. Like, there was so much more this game could have been, but it feels like they really rushed it. Probably the people behind it or what have you. It could have been a lot more and a lot better. But the Scottish or Welsh song that is in the commercial is lovely. If you've never heard it, look up the Black Mirror game soundtrack, what have you. It is very lovely. I really enjoyed it. Man, you were there for the Black Mirror stream? That was literally the first thing I ever streamed. Kudos to you, man. You've been here the whole damn time since 2018. Goddamn. Props to you, Caffeine. What a pro. What a leader among men. Damn. Alright, Hellblade. That's gonna go in S tier. Hellblade's one of the best horror games I've ever played. Like, goddamn. The perfect blending of a sense of unreality and dealing with mental illness, but also presenting it as possibly spiritual and supernatural, but never quite answering which one it is, leaving it very ambiguous, because to me, that's such a powerful way to represent the real world, because a lot of people experience their lives believing in supernatural things that we're never going to prove are real or not. We're never going to subjectively be able to prove to a person who believes in that stuff whether or not what they're experiencing is in their head or real. Like, it felt very much like this is a person who can have mental illness, but they experience their mental illness spiritually because that's how it was understood back then. And thus, you can kind of see it either way. It's just really powerful, and it does a really, really great... We have our first new person. I'm going to cause some anger, cause some issues if I leave that. Anyway, it doesn't deserve to be below Black Mirror. It really doesn't. Anyway, Hellblade's one of the best horror experiences I've ever played through. I think all these games are things I've streamed. I think there's very little on here. Severed, that one I've not, but most of these I've streamed, and so if you like the sound of it, go check it out. It's on the archive channel. I love Hellblade. One of the best games. One of the games of all time. It's a horror game. It is such a horror game. Like, you're hearing voices, they're talking to you and about you, you're seeing visual, like... It's really great. They studied, I don't remember if it was bipolar, it was a mental condition. They talked to a lot of people, and they were trying to, like, very realistically portray how the world looks and sounds to those kind of people. And they present it in a horror way because also the main character has been abused and dealt with things, and so her mental state is unhealthy. And she has this different way of experiencing the world, so her sorrow and suffering are going to be processed that way. And it acts as a really good way of doing horror. I don't know if you need to play them in order. I've not played Hellblade 2 yet. I presume they're related. Fans of the original, I've been hearing good things about the sequel. I don't know that I've heard a lot of things in the mainstream about it, which is unfortunate. Alan Wake 2 really blew up. Speaking of, Alan Wake is definitely... I don't think I call it S tier. I would call it A tier, just for me. It's one of the games. It's a really, really great horror game. I think there's just a few things about it that personally doesn't make it, number one, I love it to pieces game. It's solid. Definitely try it if you are a horror fan and you've never tried it. The gameplay loop, the kind of Twin Peaks-esque stuff going on, the very strange ending, the monster in this story is one of the best I've ever seen. I will never forget the way that it possesses people and things. It twists them into a kind of mockery of themselves, and they'll start repeating things they would say in their life or things they would do, like a kind of a concept of a ghost, and it's exaggerated. And that was so haunting to me as a kid. I will never forget that boss that he was like a pharmacist or something, and he'd say, "You take 2 pills in the morning and you'll be fine all day long." He's got this weird twisted voice and saying these strange out of place things as you're running away from him, and it's so good. Absolutely great. It's only A tier only because man saving wife, man has man problems about man self. Oh, man is asshole, but people for some reason, it's that kind of narrative. From what I've heard about Alan Wake 2, they blow it out of the ballpark. It sounds like it's S tier entirely, and I'm very excited to play Alan Wake 2. I think it looks like everything I would love. I need to play Control as well, because that's the same people and the same universe. I've played the DLC. I actually had a very short stint as a video game critic in the video game media during my college years, and I got a copy of that game for free, Alan Wake's American Nightmare, and it was more of the same, really. I think it was, comparable, good. I don't think you're really missing anything if you don't play it, but if you liked, oh. Thank you for pointing that out. How come it was 45 of you were here and it took Elb Jewel, apologies if I missaid that, to point out that I don't know how to spell. Lord. Alan Wake's really good. It's definitely one of my favorites, and I'm probably going to try, and I had a video on it way back in the beginning of the channel, and I took it down because it got to a point where the age and quality of it was really bad. Same for Hellblade. I had a video for Hellblade. I think they're both available for members, maybe? But yeah, I'm planning to upgrade, revamp those, and do them again, so they will come to the channel soon. Yeah, Remedy's great. Remedy seems to really be in their, like, Capcom era. Like, if there's a Capcom of the West right now, it seems to be Remedy. Yeah, the DLCs in Alan Wake 2 make more fun of that. They present Alan as much more pathetic and call out the problem. See, that's some of what I was seeing, too, that they kind of update the narrative a little. I like that. I really do. Because it's not a bad narrative. It's just really overdone. And so pointing out how overdone it is kind of cool. Fata Morgana. So some of these games are just kind of horror adjacent. It definitely has its moments that horrify. That game moved me. It was amazing. Let's see. Bloodstained. Bloodstained. I feel like that's another one that I would put in A tier. Not like, for me, S tier is like, I couldn't live without it. Like, I always want to replay it. And Bloodstained's really good, but I don't think it's one of those that, like, if I was on a deserted island, I would have to have it. It's so good. If you like Castlevania-style games, I recommend Bloodstained. Because I think it's interesting because it's hard to imagine taking a genre from the 90s, completely transplanting it into the modern age and making it work. That's hard to do. As much as so many people say, like, I want a classic horror, you know, they aren't always adapted to a modern style in a really good, fun way. Like, it's really hard to do that kind of transition, and Bloodstained does it. Bloodstained pulls off the Castlevania, like, Metroidvania thing in a modern style, and the same kind of sort of motifs and sort of storyline, and pulls on a lot of really neat religious things. I have a very short video about Bloodstained in the members channel. It's cool. I really, really enjoyed it. It's one of those that we streamed the whole of when it came out, I think, and that was really fun. I keep thinking about wanting to play that game again, because they've kept supporting it, too. There's so much DLC and stuff, and I really want to get back to it. Let's see another S tier. Dead Space. Dead Space is so good. Like, I remember it blew me out of the water when I first played it. It's kind of got the same thing I made fun of Alan Wake for. It's the guy looking for his wife, but it's different in that it decenters that narrative. It's not really the focus. Like, Isaac or whatever doesn't even have a personality into the second game, I think. Like, the real focus is the strange alien spaceship, like, what's happening, why things have gotten infected. Like, it's Alien the video game before Alien the video game was a thing. And I'm really sad for fucking... The Dead Space remake is apparently amazing. And of course they canceled a sequel, and of course we're back to... God, we've had so many good horror things this year, and then all of them, it's like, well, they didn't make a bajillion dollars. Like, we're in the same problem we had in the PS2 era, where you have all these really, like, games that people are gonna call classics 20 years from now, but they're not gonna get sequels or continuations because they aren't Marvel, you know? It's garbage. Anyway, Dead Space is, like, the best horror in space I've ever played. I still love it to pieces. I love the aesthetic. I love the strange mystery going on. The combat's really fun, and I'm not a person that's big into combat. And having a line on the ground that always tells me where to go is a feature I would like every video game ever to implement tomorrow, please. I need that. I need that immediately. Yeah, the Alone in the Dark studio is also closed, and God, it's garbage. There's a YouTuber that just did a video on all the closings and stuff. The Gymquisition is what I don't know if that's still the name of it, but it was that show, and did a big video on all these closings and what's going on, and I need to watch it. Can't be a classic if it sells really well? Yeah, it can. Final Fantasy VII is a classic, and it sold bucket loads. Silent Hill 2 sold a lot. The problem is, a lot for horror is not a lot for, like, Call of Duty. And every video game, like, high CEO wants every game to sell like a Call of Duty, you know? They want every game to be a bajillion dollars, and some genres just aren't. They aren't gonna be that. Let's see. Serena. We'll put you in C tier. Serena was a short, like, 1-hour game we streamed ages ago, and it was fine. Like, it was good. It was it felt like a little demo for something. I think it was made for a competition or, like, a short indie thing, and it basically was, like, a guy trapped in a cabin, and he couldn't remember his life or something, and you kind of explore and figure it out, and you find out that, like, his marriage was falling apart and his wife murdered him. And it was cool. I had a good time with it. It was pretty short, pretty solid. So I would put it in C. I would put it in C. It's pretty good. Outlast. I'm going to put you in B tier. Outlast has a really solid gameplay experience. It's fun to play. Horror-wise, I often find it funnier than it is frightening. And the narrative, like, it's like there's a science experiment going on with this otherworldly creature, and otherworldly things are coming through and changing people and changing the environment, and that part's pretty cool. But the monsters are essentially just mentally ill / prison inmates that look a little weird, and also toilets are full of feet all the time. Like, you just go in a bathroom and it's like, isn't this frightening? There's a foot in the toilet! And I just laugh every time I see the toilet feet. And, like, I feel like some of the ways that they try to make body horror in that game frightening is really just funny. But I have a lot of fun playing Outlast. It's really fun. I have a good time with it. So it's a solid B tier. Call of Cthulhu. I think we have our first D. We have our first D. If you remember that stream, that's the stream that we never finished, because that game is so buggy. It's so buggy. It might be the buggiest game buggy to ever bug. It was good, which is a shame. Like, I genuinely had fun in pieces. I wouldn't say it's a no play, never touch it game. It's just gonna break. And it may break you, because I got to a part of the game where I was like, I just don't give a shit. I was like, I'm done with this game. But the lore was cool, because it's based in the Call of Cthulhu, like, D&D-esque universe, what have you. If you're a fan of that, you'd probably like it. It definitely needed more time in the oven, programming-wise, and it was a hot mess, so it goes down there. Sea of Solitude. Sea of Solitude also gets a solid C. It was a short game. It was one of those that was like, I had a good time playing it. We beat it in a night, and it was like a girl imagining herself as a monster and processing her feelings through this metaphor of the ocean, and her parents are like having a divorce or something. Like, it was cool. It was the aesthetics and the maneuvering over water and solving puzzles, super solid. The narrative was fine, you know, and I think it was cool. It was good. It was a good game. It's the kind of thing where it's like, I would keep an eye on that developer and see where they go, because this is a cool thing that they made, and I could see them getting better. Am I gonna, like, blow up my best friend's phone telling them to play it now? But it's good. Honestly, Happy the Thing's getting remastered. That's a cool one. That came out of nowhere. I was very surprised and excited for that. That's gonna be cool. Let's see. Among Us. Among Us. I do have a couple of, I mean, I think I gotta put it C. It's a good, fun experience. It's just not for me. I am not big into multiplayer horror, and this one especially requires me to talk to people I don't know, or to have a lot of friends, and I just don't. I don't play it. We played it for Christmas one year when my brother and his family lived with us. So we had 4 people, and we could play it, and it was really fun. But it is not something I've been able to play since, because I don't have a crowd to play it with. But it was fun playing it with, like, my brother, my teenage niece, and my mother, who was like 7. Like, it was so fun. And she had no idea what she was doing ever, and it was always really easy to figure out she was the one trying to kill people, because she was just like, hey, can you come over here? Yeah, it was fun. We were all playing in the same room, so that was a good time. Maybe it does need to be a B, because when I played it, it was really fun. What's the other multiplayer horror we got here? Dead by Daylight. I'm gonna put that in a C, because it's a solid, fun experience. And I have fun when it's like the Smash Bros of horror. It's really cool, and it's cool to get to see older game characters or movie characters in a modern render and interacting with each other. And we've played it a couple times on stream with members from the Discord and had some fun, like, I think I was Pyramid Head chasing James around like, hey, buddy! Like, that's fun. I'm just not good at the gameplay style. I'm really not. If you've ever watched me play it, I'm not good at it. I would rather probably watch someone else play it, but it's a cool game. I'm just not good. Did I have another multiplayer horror? I thought I had 3. I guess I didn't. I guess those are the big 2. The 2 big ones. Blair Witch. I'm gonna put that in... Yeah, C tier. It's not quite... It was fun. I honestly felt like visually perfect. Absolutely great. The plot... If I remember right, the guy had, like, I think the dog was his emotional support dog because he had some trauma from the war. And it just... I think it wasn't very Blair Witch. Which, how do you do that anyway? Like, that movie, I don't know. I mean, it's the name. It's the name, and the name attracts attention, so make a game with the name on it. I don't really feel like they feel connected to me. And I don't know how you would make that movie into a game anyway. I guess Haunted Woods, okay, but like, I don't know. It was cool. Visually very cool. Story is kind of, I'm not sure, a little messy. Not too bad. But I had a good time. I remember really enjoying the last part of the game, too. Like, that section in the weird house that got all twisted up. That was kind of... I remember talking in that stream about, this could be really Silent Hill-esque. I could see this being a good Otherworld. And then, what do you know? What their face is working on that. Yes, I have seen the Blair Witch Project. We could do a horror movie tier list. I've seen lots of horror. Clock Tower 3. I think that's a C, too. I mean, I love it. I love it. I'm really attached to, like, PS2 era horror, even when it's not my favorite game to play or what have you, but it's just fun. It's campy, it's a little weird, and if you've seen my video on the making of, it's got a really unique story in how it was made. A combination of, like, Japanese filmmakers and Japanese game developers and the last project of this really famous director, and it's just very, very cool, and I really enjoy the concept of it and studying it, I think, more than I enjoy playing it so much, because it's not the best game. It's not a bad game, but it definitely feels weird. It's hard to explain, but there are some plot moments where, like, you will be watching a cutscene and say, what did I just watch? What just happened? And it kind of throws you for a loop. Not too scary, a lot of fun. Kind of like if Sailor Moon and Clock Tower crossed over into a very weird baby that was made by a Japanese director in the 70s, is what it feels like. Hello, folks. Oh, you love my hair? It's all wet from being in the pool. Mom and I are trying to do daily exercising, keeping our bodies alive by swimming outside, and yeah, so my hair is all messy. BioShock. This is probably gonna be surprising for some folks, but I'm gonna put it like there. It's fine. I think it got a lot of credit for very little. Like, people were blown away that this game, like, dealt with Ayn Rand and big ideas, and what if bad put rich people in charge of village? Like, yeah, obviously. And the aesthetics carry it, really. The aesthetics and being underwater and the creepy monster, like the steampunk-esque thing, carries it. But it's not the amazing, blow your mind, change the world revolutionary video game that I think a lot of people acted like it was at the time. And what's-his-face, Levine, was treated like a god for 5 years, and I got so tired of that man. I saw him in person once at a big event thing, and he was just so up his own butt. And it was eh. But also, I'm not as big into action horror, and it's definitely that, so I don't know. Maybe if I replayed it, I would feel differently. I've definitely not played it since high school. But I just remember feeling at the time like it was overrated. Like, people just loved it so much, and I was over here like, Silent Hill is better! I don't like this game. Anyway. The Darkness. I probably had to put that in C2. It was fun. I had fun playing it. It was a cool concept. And for, like, adapting a comic book and doing it good, that's shocking. Like, how many times do we have those kind of adaptations and they're actually, like, fun and good to play? And it felt like playing What If Venom, but the video game. But it's just not, like, again, I'm not that big at action horror. That's one of the few, I think. Those two are one of the few I've actually finished. I've finished them. I'm better at, like, sword games. You see the sword games? I'm better at sword games. I'm not so good at shooty bang games. If it's not, like, avoid people video game, like, you know, your clock towers and what have you, it's sword game. We do have a couple more shooty bangs. Cold Fear goes in this... I want to put it higher, but I don't think I can. Cold Fear is such a cool idea. It's such a cool idea. It's horror in the PS2 era on a boat. Like a big, like, I don't know if it was like a fishing trawler or something. And I think it stopped, like, sending radio messages or something. And you're the guy sent to figure out what's wrong. And I don't remember what was wrong because this game was not amazing. The plot was a little meh. But shooting, like, zombie creatures on a boat in the year, like, what, 2003 was amazing. Melee Master, thank you. I just put together when you said that, I grew up on Kingdom Hearts 2. All that is bang the monster with a stick. I am stick fighter. That is what I am. Kingdom Hearts trained me. All I played in my youth was Pokemon, Spyro, Kingdom Hearts, Devil May Cry, and Silent Hill. So, like, the first, video games of Final Fantasy, duh. So it was either, like, turn-based combat, hit it with a stick, or run away, or catch it with a Pokeball. Yeah, so I'm not very good with the guns. Resident Evil 4 was probably my first gun game. Where did we put that one? You definitely have to go high. I think you're going to go in the A tier. Not like a game I can't live without, but one I had a lot of fun with. I remember after high school, we would go to a friend's house after school and play it at their house, like a big group of us, because I didn't own it. We would play to friends. And then years later, I got it, and it was the second game that we ever streamed. Caffeine was here early. I don't know if they're still here. Was here for the very first stream on the channel. Is anybody here from the very second stream on the channel? Anybody remember the Resident Evil stream? That game is just fun. It's campy. It's really good action. Like, it's one of the few shooting games that I feel like I'm decent at. It definitely teaches you how to do it well and kind of works with you on how much you're struggling. Like, I don't think it punishes you too badly. I felt like it was really well balanced. I had a really great time with it. I've never heard of Stalker. I have not. I've also not played the remake. I do need to do that someday. Sorry, I'm just trying to scroll through everything everyone's saying. Hello, folks. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, Cold Fear. I think I got distracted talking about Cold Fear. Cool concept, poor execution. I still had fun playing it. Speaking of boat horror, Echo Knight. Echo Knight's up there. Echo Knight was so cool. Echo Knight's boat horror in the PS1 era, where it's like a haunted, it's like a ghost boat. This is one that I also don't remember the plot of a lot. I remember it was like a haunted boat, and we were dealing with, like, setting ghosts at peace. I don't remember who or why, but it was just cool. Like, I remember the visuals and, like, traveling through different, like, times, and the boat was connected to different eras because it was lost at sea. And apparently it came out around the time of the Titanic, and so people, like the movie, and people were like, apparently that was a little weird. But I really loved it, and I want to play the other ones, because there's 2 more in the series, and I've not played much of them, so I liked that. That was cool. Cool boat horror. Dino Crisis. Might as well go through all these. C. I have to put it C. For the sole reason, I know that might drive people nuts. Dino Crisis is a solid Resident Evil-like game. Solid. And so if you like that era of games, it's going to work for you really great. I did not find it frightening, and that is because Jurassic Park is my favorite film of all time. And part of what makes it really get at you is the sensation of how overwhelmed you are by these ancient, awe-striking creatures that are often so much bigger than you. Like, even the small ones are like, their teeth are the size of your head. And Dino Crisis as a PS1 game cannot get that feeling across. Like, they just don't feel... There's some scenes that can kind of pull it off, but you're never going to get that, like, the Jurassic Park, like, the eye in the car window with the kids inside. Like, that sensation is too hard to pull on PS1, which is why this game needs a modern version, because a modern version would be able to pull off so much more. Like, that would be amazing. But I could also see, like, if I'd played that in the 90s, it probably would have moved me way more. Like, playing it as a 30-year-old, however old I was a couple of years ago. Yes, Echo Knight is from FromSoft. But yeah, Dino Crisis is a good game. If you like Resident Evil, you will like it, and you should try it. We might as well do... I'm leaving some things for last. Resident Evil 3. I feel like it's fair to put it in B. I would almost put it down here, but that's not fair, because it's too well made. It's just... it stands in the shadow of Resident Evil 2, and it's not different enough. It doesn't do more. It doesn't evolve. It just feels like they rushed it. And I'm sure they did, because I bet you the people at Capcom saw how good that game did, and they were like, we need more! You know, like, they rushed it too quick. So unfortunately, it could have been more, and it wasn't, and it just kind of feels like a derivative of that game. It does get to stand at B because I really like Jill. I like her. I like the characters in that one a lot. Yes, Kuon is on the list. It was a fun game. I did really enjoy that one. But gameplay and design-wise, you can't compare it to 2. You can't compare it. Where's Kuon? I don't know where it went. I do not know where it went. We'll get to it. Is it not here? I know I put it in the thing. Maybe that's one of the images. Nope, there it is. Kuon! I think... I'm so tempted to put it up here, but I think I put it there. If only because gameplay-wise, it's a little rougher. They really wanted to tell, I think, a classic Japanese horror story, and they spent a lot of time on that. And they didn't spend enough time on combat because, you know, time is hard to manage, and they basically took the combat system of another video game that the company made and kind of ported it into Kuon. I don't think they really designed a combat system for Kuon, and they could have done more with it, I think, if they had. And that kind of holds it back. Everything else is like chef's kiss. It's so unique, so beautiful, so haunting. It's amazing. And I really wish more people had played it or seen it. Or It's really good. It deserves more. FromSoft, you need to use the Elden Ring money. You've got so much Elden Ring money now. Give me Kuon. Put it on something. Put it on something. Devotion. Devotion is, what was that? Red Candle? Siren's better than Kuon. I can't say that because I'm only evaluating games I've finished, and I've never finished Siren. So I cannot say either way. I think B is probably good for Devotion. I liked the game. It's really solid, but I like their other game better. It's not on this list because I watched someone play it. I didn't play it myself, but Detention is one that we are gonna play. Their games are really good and really solid. I think that Devotion was really, really good in part. Like, it's kind of like Kuon, where it deals with an element of culture that doesn't get seen a lot in fiction. It's like Taiwanese, Chinese, Taoist, like Buddhist traditions and folk magic and medicine and things, and a specific era of time. I think it's like 1980s Taiwan. It was really unique and really cool. It's not higher up solely because when I saw Devotion, I was like, holy shit, this is my jam. I really love it. It's also in like 1980s Taiwan and deals with some similar things, but it does it in a different style that was more my jam. And it was also a story that was like more my, like, I don't want to spoil it. It's very cool. We will play that sometime. We need more non-Japanese Asian horror games. We do, and we're getting some. One is on this list because I've mostly finished it. I didn't entirely finish it. Where did it go? Dread Out, Dread Out, Dread Out. Where's Dread Out? I know I put you here. Why don't I have... Aha! Dread Out. I think it's Indonesian? Is it Indonesian? I don't know. It's Indonesian, or it's Southeast Asian somewhere, not Korea or Japan or China, and that's not, I don't know if that's really Southeast. I think it's Indonesia, maybe. It's like Fatal Frame with the culture and the background of another Southeast Asian country. I think it's Indonesia. Solely, it's lower on the list because it had some like issues a little technically, where I had some problems with the combat. It wasn't as smooth as Fatal Frame, which is inevitable because I think a smaller indie studio made this game, and it's been a long time since I've played it, so I don't know if, I think they came out with a sequel, and I would really like to try that, and it was good. It was so good, especially if you like Fatal Frame style stuff. You need to try that game. I was right, it's Indonesian. Bam. It's really good. It has some amazing, like, blow your mind visuals. I just, gameplay-wise, struggled a little bit, so I never finished it. We need to do that one of these days. Sweet Home. Sweet Home. I think Sweet Home deserves a B. Sweet Home is the RPG horror NES game from like 1990, 80, 90. It's the one that inspired Resident Evil, and we streamed that ages ago. It's so cool. I wasn't expecting to enjoy it as much as I did, just because, you know, age, if you didn't grow up playing NES games, it's kind of hard to go back. I never got into the original, like, Link games. My brother played them all the time, and so, you know, I would try and go play his NES and be like, this is boring. But Sweet Home worked. It was so fun. I think part of how it worked, it does like first person kind of combat where the monsters are drawn and they're like the full screen and they're not like little bitty sprites. So you get the sensation of facing monsters, and the art is so unique. It's so cool. I really, really, really loved it. The anime game you played with the priestesses and the little girl? Anime game? You mean Saint Maker? That's the last game we played. I don't know. Saint Maker is really great. We put that one there. Severed. God, I can't evaluate it. I think I put it B. It's been too long since I've played it, so I can't totally say how I feel about it. But just my fond memories of it are so strong, I gotta put it there. It was a DS game that you play with a stylus. The severed part is you're cutting things. You cut off limbs, you cut off monster puzzles, and it's a kind of a horror environment, like a supernatural sort of wilderness. Your family's all been murdered or kidnapped. I think they were murdered, and you're seeking revenge. And it was a cool, unique art style. I think it's Mexican. I think it's from Central or South America. Severed game. A Switch version came out, and I can't stream it because of the mechanic of the cutting, unfortunately. Drinkbox Studios, where are you from, and why do I think it's Canadian? Wrong direction! That was up, not down. Why did I think it was down? Anyway, yeah, so it was really cool, unique game from the DS, and it actually used the mechanic really well. It's so hard when a console has a mechanic to actually use it well. I should have... Anyway, really cool game that actually makes the mechanic feel good and not like a chore, which is so hard in video games. The epiphany in my head just now was Epic Mickey. I could have put Epic Mickey on here. That game felt like vaguely horror, and that's the only game I've ever played on the Wii that felt like it needed to be on the Wii. That game made use of the Wiimote so good, because it's a paintbrush, and you're painting in the... It was so good. It was really, really good. I also played Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess and Silent Hill Shattered Memories on there, and neither of those games felt as good as Epic Mickey on the Wii. Neither of them really needed to be on the Wii. It really didn't. Metroid Fusion! I've played almost all of it. As a kid, I never finished it. It's one of my favorite Game Boy games, and it definitely has it's a horror vibe, more so than I think other Metroids. Like, there's just something about your body being invaded and the entire arena, like it's creepy. I really like it. And then you get chased by your own, like, clone. I think that's the part where we stopped streaming it. I'm so bad at finishing games. Guys, why do I do that? Why am I so bad at that? But it's really good, and one of these days I need to finish streaming it. It's so good. Fia. I think Fear is going to go C tier for the same reason as, you know, these games. I'm not a shooty bang game person. Of all the shooty bang games, I think I liked that one a lot because it was, like, super spooky. It had a lot of cool, monstery, spooky themes in it. I never got any further in the series, but I really liked what the first game did. If it had been less shooty bang, I probably would have liked it even more. Yeah, speaking of Wii game, there's a game called Pandora's Tower. There's actually a lot of really good, like, horror-esque Wii games that I've never played. I think Farewell Dreams of the Moon and Baroque. Baroque is one my friend had that I always have wanted to try. Those are both Wii games, and unfortunately Wii is hard to emulate. I think Baroque might be on PS2, though. My voice is I've been recording a lot of videos. I'm trying to do this thing they call planning, and I'm trying to finish a couple videos and then, like, pace them out and have, like, a schedule, and then just keep making videos and have a schedule I keep to, and wow, who'd have thought? I invented the idea. It's really great, but it means my voice is really sore because I've been talking a lot. Belladonna. Belladonna should go in C. I don't remember a lot of it. It was an indie game. It was like a puzzle game. You were kind of a Frankenstein-esque creature brought back to life. I think it was lesbians, I think. But I played it back when I worked at the mattress firm, and it was one of those games that kept me from, you know, jumping off a bridge. But it was very fun. Among the Sleep. I have watched someone play that. I've never finished it. This is mostly games I finished. A few on here are almost, not quite. I think there was another one, not quite, but mostly not quite. Mostly games I myself have played all the way through. Signalis! Immediately. We must immediately. Bam. S tier. One of the best. One of the best. One of the games. I mean, best horror game that's come out in the last, like, I would say 3, 4, 5 years. I'd have to think if I'm missing something else, but like, hot damn, that game. Hot damn. It's so good. If you like the, like, old school style of gameplay from the, like, PS1, PS2 era, that's for you. If you like really strange, moving, haunting, visceral horror, it's for you. It's weird sci-fi. It's very Silent Hill-esque. You don't get any answers. You still quite don't get what's going on. Like, there's a lot of theories and lore and possibilities. Like, you could tease this game out forever. It's so good. I love it. I love it so much. No Rule of Rose or Siren. Yeah, these are games I have not finished. This is all stuff I have finished. Never finished Rule of Rose or Siren. One day. But these are all games I've finished. Kodelka. I think that's A. I don't think it's quite S tier. I really love it. It was so much fun and such a unique concept, but it just doesn't quite reach that very end step. The combat's really cool and unique. I think it's fun. I really like the kind of weird, like, Fire Emblem grid system it had going on. Voice acting, absolutely amazing, absolutely perfect. The story's pretty cool. It's just the part that doesn't work for me. Kodelka, you're exploring this really great haunted mansion, and you're walking around, but your environment is empty because the combat is random encounters, the way an RPG would be. But that means you don't really feel the tension of exploring your environment in the same way, because, like, a random encounter doesn't feel tense in the way that seeing zombies down the hall that you have to avoid feels tense. And so it's missing just a little bit of that, like, classic horror spark. But it's such a cool concept. It's so well done. It's just really, really fun. It's just slightly short of being, like, absolutely perfect. But I highly recommend it to RPG and horror fans. I would put Devil May Cry in S. I would. Best Devil May Cry game in ages, which isn't saying a lot because there's only been one in like 10 years. It's so fun. It is so perfectly Devil May Cry. It does a lot more. It finally pulls together some plot lines and gives us some answers to questions we've had since like 2008. I mean, that was amazing. And it was also a game I never thought would happen because they went so long ignoring the poor Devil May Cry for Resident Evil and Monster Hunter and games that made money. But then, of course, Devil May Cry blew us all out of the water, and it was amazing and perfect and beautiful. I need to play it more. I still haven't done, like, the extra challengey stuff. Deathmark. I think Deathmark's gonna be an S tier. I really do. Like, for a horror visual novel, that's my jam. These two horror visual novels, yeah. Fata Morgana's a little bit more moving on the emotional front because of the story it's telling, but Deathmark tells such a cool horror story. And the visuals are amazing, and the history it's dealing with like World War II and Japanese history there, it just does a lot of really cool things in interesting ways, and the, like, consequences, since this is a visual novel where your actions can lead to your death or the death of other people, I really, really enjoyed it. And I'm super excited to play NG and Deathmark 2, which we will do soon. I have NG, so that will be next. I really enjoy it. I've not played a lot of Left 4 Dead, unfortunately. These are all games that I've played enough of that I feel like I know how I feel. You could not change my mind. Condemned Criminal. This one's hard. This one's hard to do. I think it has to go there. I loved this game growing up. It was so cool. Like, the mall level. This is a game where you play a police officer investigating, like, a crime wave, but then strange, surreal, supernatural things start happening to you, and you figure out that there's like something in the water that's changing people, and you figure out this mystery, and a lot of cool, creepy things happen in the meanwhile. There's this like terrible lunch lady that tries to chop your face off, and there's these mannequins that move, like, the mannequins haunted me as a kid. It was really well done. And then you grow up, and you realize it's basically a police violence simulator, because all the people you're shooting are just sick people, homeless people, just people who just people. Like, you're just a police officer murdering a lot of homeless people, and it never quite, like, if there's something in the water, can we not make a cure? Like, can I not try to evade the creature? Like, it could have been more of a, like, Clock Tower hide and evade style game, but instead it was a mass shooting incident, and I can't see it the same way. It's still fun to play, and it's a solid, like, horror shooter of the mid-2000s, so I would still say it stands up somewhat, but when compared also to a lot of stuff that came down, like, it's not timeless the way that a lot of other horror games are. Other things have done it better now, other games have improved on it, but it's nostalgic for me. I won't say it was a bad game. I had a lot of fun with it as a kid. That's Criminal Origins, Condemned Criminal Origins. And the criminal origins were being a mass murderer as you just run around shooting everyone. Oh my god. PT. I'm going to put PT here. I think it's another one of those things that's really overrated. And it's overrated because it's a mystery. We'll never know what it was going to be. And so people, like, hype it up and, like, oh, I know there was this, and it's connected to Death Stranding, and this. And, like, people have gotten so obsessive over pulling at this, like, not even 1 hour, like, demo. And it's nuts. It's a demo of something that never happened. And, like, that's almost the best thing it could have been. Because now there's there's nothing that could come later and be disappointing. Like, you know, if the game came out and then the demo was, like, way better, what have you. Like, the fact that we're never going to get the game now means that PT will always be held in people's hearts as, like, this magnificent piece of, like, it adds to the art, almost, that it is this unfinished, unanswerable question. And I just think it's a little overly analyzed, and this is coming from me, where that's my job. Oh no, you couldn't understand how to save and load games on Condemned? That's crazy. I genuinely don't remember. I feel like it was autosave. Maybe? Was that era? I don't know. That's crazy. Bayonetta. We've not done the other DMC, but we should do Bayonetta. I'm gonna put, they definitely deserve, like, I'm gonna put them in B. And that's solely because Devil May Cry is more fun to me, solely because I'm really into the, like, dumb man jocks of Devil May Cry. Bayonetta is amazing. It's such a fun game. And if you are into femmes, she is queen of them. So fun, so good. Personally, I would probably play Devil May Cry before I went back to Bayonetta. I did write a whole book on Bayonetta. It has some cool, like, world building on it, but I just prefer Devil May Cry to my own interests. Solid games. Absolutely solid games. Tattletale. That can go in C. It was fine. It's a kind of cute little weird horror game about Christmas and a haunted Furby that wants to, like, murder you, and you have to help these other Furbies, like, exorcise the evil Furby. And there's, like, an entire, like, demonic magic circle with 5 Furbies chanting, and that's really great. I don't know how much replay-wise it has, or, you know, like, it's not that deep, but it's just a cool concept, and I had fun playing it. Like, haunted Furbies were great. It was great. That was really great. I'm gonna put you in A tier. Shadow of Destiny, a PS2 game that deals with time travel and trying to avoid being murdered, and there's a bunch of alchemy. It's just such a weird piece of game history. It stands out in its time, and it's fun to play. It's very unique. I really, really love it. It needs a few things just to make it, like, top tier. There's a few things I would edit, just, like, I feel like it needed a little more meat on the bone. And that's another problem where, like, you know, just time, not enough time to, like, develop things. You gotta cut things, rush things, and I think a little more time, making the game a little fuller, I think would have been perfect. It's still amazing. Definitely try it. PT's in the same tier as Blair Witch and Tattletale. That's not bad. I enjoyed all of those basically equally. Don't cancel me. Until Dawn. I'm gonna put that in C too. I know people love Until Dawn. I'm not big on the like, I don't have a hair tie up here, damn it. That's not my favorite game style. I get the idea, and it is cool, and I could see why people love it, but it's just not for me. And I don't really ever feel like replaying it. I'm not that interested. I have watched someone else play the other games in that style from that developer, and I liked the one that I think had the haunted, the house where the fire burned down and they all died. I remember that one was fun. Like, I don't know. It's not my style. Some of them, oh yeah, the one with werewolves was pretty cool. That was pretty neat. They can do some cool things, but I also feel like they're a little messy. I don't know. I feel like they're trying to... I don't know how to word this. It's like they struck gold with Until Dawn because a lot of people got into it, and now they keep trying to sort of do it again, but without really experimenting or pushing, really, what they're doing gameplay-wise. And I feel like that's part of why the games have kind of stagnated. They've not evolved. They all basically, gameplay-wise, feel like the same experience. And that's a shame, because you could really do more with it. And some of the plot lines are really unique and weird. They don't all go good places or end. They don't always hit the landing. They have a problem with that. They have a lot of cool setups that they just kind of miss. The one with the soldiers in the Middle East and the alien thing, such a cool setup, very poor landing. But, yeah, it's fine. I had fun. I don't care about it too much. It's just not my jam. Not my jam. Resident Evil 2. Resident Evil 2 has to go in A tier. It's just such a fun gameplay loop. They did such a good job of modernizing something and adding new things to make it more fun, and fucking Mr. X on my ass all the time. I had so much fun playing that, and it was a really fun game that we streamed. I had a great time. It was just so much fun. I really enjoyed it. I don't know. I never got back to the whole, like, replaying. That part, I don't know. Like, I get the idea, but I think on a modern remake, and this would have been hard to do, so I don't know. But, like, replaying the same game, essentially, but just with a different character and something, I think, like, one level is different, just wasn't into it. I never really felt like, oh, I've got to finish this. It just felt like, I just beat this. Why am I replaying it? You know? And that was the only thing that I think held it back for me, was the feeling that, like, you had to play it twice to get everything. And it didn't feel like you got too rewarded for playing it twice. Which I guess, you know, if you're really into the game, you're going to probably enjoy that, but... yeah, I've not finished Rule of Rose. I played it and got through to, maybe it was the first boss. It got so janky. That boss would not die. And I got so mad, I rage quit. And I've not gone back to it. So I just got very unlucky, and I do need to stream it at some point. Right now, I can't stream anything on my PS3 because freaking broken controller. But we'll get there eventually. Resident Evil, since we're talking about it. Village. I think Village... yeah, I'll keep it in A. I almost would put it... you know, I might put it in S, because it's everything I like about 2, but better. No replay twice to get everything. The environment is so cool and unique. The, like, monsters that chase you are so unique. The way that it's pulling on gaming history. You got Frankenstein. You got the Swamp Thing. You got Carmilla. Like... it's just so cool, and the themes with Ethan and his daughter Rose, like, I was watching someone play this game on stream, and just thinking and processing it, and I'm making a video on it now because I have, you know, problems. It's learned from Silent Hill, which is really cool, because, you know, I feel like 7 and 8, especially, have learned from the Silent Hill series and adapted what worked with them in those games. Not just PT, even though obviously Resident Evil 7 was, you know, looking at PT's homework and trying to incorporate it into a Resident Evil style game. But, like, the themes of motherhood as poison, as a source of control and violence, and fatherhood as heroism and redemption and sacrifice. And he gives his all to save that baby, and they're still separated. Like, there's this tragedy at the end, and I kept thinking about Harry and Heather, and how the next game is going to be Rosemary's game, and we're essentially in the, like, Silent Hill 3 era of Resident Evil, and the themes are so similar. I was watching a little of the DLC with Rose, too, and it's like, it's so them, and it's so well done in a modern style, and it really, really works. And I really like that. Like, I really like that it feels like people at Capcom have looked back at what worked with Silent Hill, the series that, you know, blew up from copying Resident Evil, and then they were like, well, what works here? You know, let's copy them. And it really, really worked. I mean, if you don't like it, that's fine, but, like, I loved it. Oh, yeah, Chris is a hot mess in that game. Chris is, like, I get kind of what they were doing, but I think they needed to do it a little better. Like, theoretically, Chris does not communicate with Ethan because he thinks Ethan has been compromised, but they don't make that obvious enough in Chris's behavior and his explanation, and it feels more like this was just, you know, we just needed the setup to get to the plot. Which, fine, every game and every story does that. We just need our setup. But they got the money. They could have invested the time to make the setup make more sense. That definitely is one issue, is Chris. I've not finished Resident Evil 7, so it's not on this list. I just like the Village vibe better. The Gothic. I love Gothic novels. If you've been around enough, you know I've done readings with Gothic novels. I love vampires, and so the, like, themes of the European nobility and everything going on in 8 was amazing. I really loved that. So that worked better for me than Louisiana. It's funny because my family, my father has lived in all along the, like, Florida, Alabama, Georgia, and my mother's family came from Alabama and then later moved to Georgia. And I've heard stories like my Aunt Chris saying, you know, I just thank God that our parents got us out of Alabama. And I'm like, some of my relatives still live in Alabama, and I've never been. And my aunt, the way she talks, it's always just like, we don't go talk to those swamp place people. We don't. So yeah, I don't know. I liked 8 a lot. I've really come around to loving it a lot. Oh, Lethal Company. That was the other game that was multiplayer that I put on here. That's going to go in A tier. That game is fun. I wouldn't call it S solely because, like, I don't know, I feel like multiplayer horror can only go so far as a horror experience, and if we're talking horror and not multiplayer, it's got to go a little lower. But it's so fun. It's such a good concept. It's so well executed. It's very clean. I really loved it. I played it like once or twice last December. It's so fun. Oh, man. Hello, folks. Welcome. Snowy village over subtropical swamp. Yep, that's for damn sure. I'm living in the subtropical swamp. Ugh, not exactly, but... Oh, silver chains. Silver chains. I would create another tier. Actually, yes. Can I create another one? Can I make another? Add a row below. This row is for silver chains. This is for very bad, very bad game. If you were there, I streamed Silver Chains. It was my first time playing it. It's a Switch game. It's probably on other things. And it was like a haunted house that this guy shows up to. And I think he doesn't have memories. And he's trying to figure out. And, like, setup-wise, solid. Pretty gothic novel-esque. And it wasn't too bad. But it clearly, the further we got into it, the less polished it was. And the less finished it felt. And then we were close to the ending, and the ending literally glitched so that I kept falling through the ceiling into the room below, and I couldn't go to where the ending was. And I got mad. And it was such a mess. And I paid money for it, and I'm still mad about it. It was so unfinished. Nobody should have put this game anywhere for sale. It's not done. It's not done. Fix it. And give me my money back. Let's see. I don't think anything else really deserves to be in the very bad tier. I'm gonna put Amnesia. Amnesia, the machine for pigs. I think that's gonna be yeah, it's gotta be a C. I really liked Machine for Pigs. The story was cool. The story and world building I really liked. It didn't quite feel like an Amnesia game. It felt like they forgot. They got amnesia about how to make Amnesia, and they forgot. And it just didn't quite give that same sensation of feeling like, you know, you're on edge, you're being chased, you need to hide. The first half of the game, you were basically, nothing was chasing you. You were safe. Like, there was nothing, but the, like, story saved it. I really liked the machine and the, like, narrative around it. It was creepy. So, it was cool and could have been better. The first Amnesia, I think, will go up to... I think it's a B tier. It's not my favorite horror game ever, but it was definitely solid, and I'd replay it. Like, I liked it. It's cool. It's a really cool environment and scariness, and I love a game that makes you run and hide. That's my favorite kind of horror. But I think it's just not, like, my blow your mind, I love it kind of game. Still Wakes the Deep. I have not played it yet. I've heard... We've got so many... I mean, Alan Wake 2, Hellblade 2, Still Wakes the Deep, Alone in the Dark, Silent Hill 2's coming, Slitterhead's coming. Like, what a fucking year for horror. Hot damn. I'm so behind. I haven't played anything new this year, I don't think. I don't think I've played anything. I mean, I've been so sick the first half of the year. We've streamed 2 games, and that's ridiculous. If you go back and look at, like, it's on my other computer, but I have archives of all the streams we've ever done every year, organized by month, and this year is empty, and I feel terrible about it, but I was so sick, I couldn't even move. It was horrible. Devil May Cry 4. I hate to do it. I hate to do it to you. I hate to do it to you, but I gotta do it to you. It's so fun, and it could have been so much more. It's a bad Devil May Cry game, but it's fun. I love the characters, the aesthetics, the cutscenes are so over the top and campy. They really embraced the camp, and they did introduce a lot of really fun stuff that paid off in 5 with Nero's story and everything, but it's a very bad DMC game. Like, God, the retreading and the feeling that, like, there's no puzzles or occult elements. You're just walking, and you fight some things, and you keep walking. And also there's that torture chamber I got stuck in for 45 minutes on a stream one time, but we don't talk about that. We don't talk about that. Hello, folks. Hello, Jeff. What else? That was Devil May Cry 4. Devil May Cry 2 is going to go above 4. It is. I'm sorry. It's a C. It's fun. I really enjoy it. Gameplay-wise, it invents a lot of things that would be developed later. It's got solid world building and lore. It's just obvious that there were problems on the team. There were some differences about how to do this game and how to write this game. Like, it had problems. Devil May Cry... Dante feels weird, and there's no explanation for why he feels weird and why his personality has changed so much. I have my own theories I've put in videos, but canonically there's none. And the team itself seems to just ignore this game and pretend it doesn't exist, which is the same because Lucia is trapped in it, and she was the best part, and she was great. If it was her, like, I'd put it up there, but I think it has to go in C. Devil May Cry 3 definitely goes, like... I'm struggling between A and B. I think I gotta put it in a B tier, solely because of the difficulty level. In the American version of the original release, it was hard mode on normal mode for Americans, because apparently enough Americans complained that Japan was like, well, I guess they're masochists, let's fuck them up. And my teenage self could not beat Nevin, which is like halfway through the game, so it was the only Devil May Cry game I never finished for years. For years. And it frustrated me to no end. So I have less childhood nostalgia for it. I have less interest in it. Like, but it is such a good game. Like, having now played it as an adult on the Switch, and I really loved it. It was so good, so fun. But just, like, for my personal, like, feelings about games, my feelings for it are a little lower than, say, where... Where are you? Devil May Cry 1's not here. Well, we gotta download Devil May Cry 1. I guess it didn't like the image I picked. Save. Alright. Can I add more pictures? I can. Where did it go? Where did it go? I should have named it. There it is. Aha! That! That's gonna go in S tier. I love that game. No! Yes. Yes. I love the first Devil May Cry. One of my favorite games since I was a kid. I played it to pieces. I have vivid memories of beating that final boss for the first time in the bonus room of the house I grew up in. Like, I can picture the square silver TV that was like this big. I mean, like, wait, this was the back of it, not the front of it. Like, this was the big box behind it. And the flowery quilt, and my friend was with me. We'd been trying to beat it for ages. Like, God, just the memories. And it's such a solid, fun game. For me, Devil May Cry is Devil May Cry 1. And then the new Devil May Cry 5 came out and it blew me. and so I really love both of those. Like, those are my favorite Devil May Crys. Those are amazing, and I love them. So those go there. Dishonored. Vaguely horror-esque. I am going to put that in an A tier. It's such a good game. Such a good action game. Such a unique world and art style. It's just so recognizably Dishonored. And the combat is so fun. I'm bad at it, but it's fun. I mean, I streamed it ages ago, and it was literally, the very last level, I just ran through all the enemies to the final dude and stabbed him so that the game would be technically over, even though the alarm was going off, because I'd finished the mission of assassinate the guy. Even though if this was real and he was surrounded by 40 men chasing him, like, he would be so dead. But it worked, because it wasn't me. Like, I have so many fond memories of fucking up in that game and doing stupid shit trying to get out of it and running from people. And it just is so fun. It's such a good game. And it does have really good, like, horror elements to it with the, like, whale god and the guy that's, like, betrayed and he's got to murder people, and it's really cool. I need to play the sequel. Shin Megami Tensei. Shin Megami Tensei 3 is gonna also, I think... I think it's gonna go up there. I think it is. I almost put it down there, but you know, I really do love it. I struggled with the original PS2 version. The difficulty was hard, but that's also just an SMT thing. And when I played it on Switch, I did a lot better, had a lot more fun. It's just such a solid, unique SMT experience. It's so good, so clean. I've played other SMTs. I've finished 2 of them, and I've played a lot of the other ones, but not finished. And Nocturne still just stands out as such a unique entry with the, like, themes of transformation and like, fight the power and join Lucifer and, like, God, and the theater, and, like, it's so weird and esoteric and cool. It's everything I love in a strange video game package. And also I get to join Lucifer, and it's great. It's great. I love it. I'm going to put the 4th game B. Solid B. Fun time. I had a good time. It's not the most interesting SMT game, but it's good. It's good and solid. I think there's some other ones that are probably more interesting narratively and less fun to play, because that kind of is the payoff you get sometimes with SMT, where it's like, man, I love playing this game. I wish it weren't boring. Or, man, I love this story. I wish I could play it. Oh, it's a shame. It's a damn shame. Faith. I think Faith is going to go in B. Faith is an indie game that's a really solid, like, concept. It's, like, sort of, what's that? Like, 70s, 80s, like, old kind of computer graphic style, and it's a Catholic priest that's, like, it's basically, like, an 80s horror movie, like The Exorcist, but in, like, a video game, classic video game setting. And so that's really cool as an aesthetic and a concept. I just didn't get a lot of meat on the bone when I played it. It really wasn't, it didn't strike me particularly, and it's in part because I'm very bad at those kind of games where you have to poke around and figure out what you're supposed to do, and I died a lot. But it's really, really cool. Like, as an experience, it's very, very cool. Definitely glad that it exists, and I'm glad that folks really enjoy it. That's another one. I would say that about D. I would put D in also B tier. D is a very weird game from like the late 90s. It's only about an hour long. I think if you don't beat it in an hour, you literally die. I think there's a time limit in the game, if I remember correctly, because I was very anxious about beating it in time. You're in this weird castle. I don't know that they ever really explain how it's happening. I know your dad's a vampire, and he eats you in the bad ending. He eats you. But for some reason, you're in the hospital, like, trying to do something, but then the hospital becomes this weird other world of many different times and places, and you have to solve these puzzles in a certain amount of time to survive and get through. And it's just such a unique concept. It's a Kenji Eno game, and it's really well executed, and I had a lot of fun with it. And then my dad ate me, so it was 10 out of 10. I had a good time, but I don't think it's quite like, it didn't blow my mind the way like a Kuon or a Signalis did. But I had a lot of fun. I would recommend it. Oh yeah, if you're a horror game fan, play it. I mean, it's like $10 on itch.io or something. I don't know. Like, I think it's GOG. It's good. It's really fun and unique as a horror experience. I highly recommend trying it. It's just not like, again, like, I would put, these are games that, like, I would die. Like, I would die for you. You know? That kind of feeling. Evil Within. I'm gonna put Evil Within in the C tier for solely, I don't remember a lot. Like, it didn't stand out a lot. It did and it didn't. Visually, great. Gameplay-wise, a lot of fun. It definitely felt like a more Silent Hill-esque Resident Evil experience, where you're kind of playing a Resident Evil game that has more of a psychological and spirit kind of haunting element to it. I had fun. I don't remember a lot. It just, I think it needed a little more polish, maybe. I don't remember caring about the characters much, and that's a problem in a game that's trying to be a little more psychological if you don't give a shit about the people. Visually, stunning. I remember a lot of the scenes of, like, the barn burning, that hallway that kept getting longer, if I remember. Like, very cool. I enjoyed that. But I don't think it did enough to stand out in my memory. Like, a lot of it kind of blurred and faded away with time. I'd be curious to replay it, and then also to play 2, which I've heard is better. Again, C tier are still games that I enjoyed playing. They just maybe didn't, like, blow my mind, or I would change a few things, you know. Speaking of, that's a game, that's another, I had fun playing these games too, except not you, that's why you're down here. And Resident Evil 5 is so fun, it's so fun, and also very bad. Like, the combat even, I don't think is as clean as it could have been, even though that's definitely its strength. Like, the 2-player combat was so fun. Me and my friend Marlo beat it when we were in high school together. It was so, a lot of my best memories are around video games in high school, and that's one of the big ones that we played a lot of, and I'm very fond of it for that. Bad game. bad Resident Evil game is bad, and I don't recommend it, really. I think there's better multiplayer games out there now, but man, I had fun. I did. Resident Evil 0 is gonna go in B tier. One of my favorites. I had a lot of fun with the train game and the anime protagonist and my tattooed boyfriend. I remember a lot of that game, and that's kind of part of what I evaluate games with. Like, if it did a lot of things that I actually remember and it stands out, like, I can picture those things, it's like, obviously that really struck me and it hit, like, you know, I have problems with memory, so if it stands out, clearly I felt something, and I felt a lot of fun with this game. Not fear exactly, but, like, it was fun, and it was a really cool, like, classic Resident Evil, explore a weird mansion, fight weird stuff. I liked the main girl, she was cool. I liked these characters a lot better than I did the cast of the first game. It was fun. I liked Train Game. I would play Train Game again with my prison boyfriend. Oh man, it was good. It was good. Resident Evil 1. Not my jam. I don't know, it's good. I do have fun when I play it. There's just other Resident Evil games I would probably prefer to play, like that one. I loved 0. I liked Village a lot. 4. I think the more modern games are more my thing. I did enjoy the remake, and Lisa was so sad. Do I have videos about Resident Evil up, or were those some of the videos that got archived for the members only? I don't remember. Let me see. I'm curious now if I actually have Resident Evil videos. Playlists. I do. Okay, yeah, those are still up. The Origins video and the Lisa video. Man, those are some old videos. Damn. But yeah, I really like. There's other Resident Evil games I have more fond memories and fond times with. That one, I think that's the one where I fell and got a concussion. I got a concussion one Halloween when we were streaming. It was after, I think it was after the stream, maybe. And I was trying to get something at a high shelf, and just this thing I was standing on gave out on me, and I hit the wall really hard, and I got a concussion for the first time in my life. It was so bad. So you gave me a concussion, you stupid game. Revenant Revelations. I'm gonna put you there. It's another boat game, and I like a boat game. I have fun with boat games. It's fine. I don't remember. There is some plot about there were two boats. Like, that was the plot twist, and we were on two different boats or something. And there was a city. There was an Atlantis or something that was like a paradise, but then zombies. And the plot was weird and strange. And it jumped around with different characters because there was like chapter elements. I think it was originally like a DS game, maybe. And I could see what maybe, like, as a DS game, that would be really fun to, like, have in your pocket and pull around. As a PS4 game, when I could play, like, The Evil Within or something, like, it just doesn't stand up as much. But I like a good boat game. I do. Let's see. Castlevania. Symphony of the Night. Definitely A tier. So good. Put you next to your friend. I love that game. It's the only classic Castlevania I've finished. I played a lot of the Game Boy ones. Circle of the Moon. No, I did finish another one. We finished the long black hair guy. It should be in here then. Castlevania GBA. I love... was it this one? No, that's the one with what's this... That one! That's the one we finished! I love the Game Boy games. They're just such a cute aesthetic. They're so fun. I think this one is just really solid because the narrative of fighting your own dad and my nature as a monster, like, that really makes the game stand out a lot amidst all the other Castlevanias. And I think it's part of why it stands out to people so much. I really, really like that one best of the ones that I've played so far. Even though the Game Boy aesthetic is my jam, and I love those. That one's going to go B tier. That one was fun. That was the one where your bestie and your girlfriend end up in there, and your bestie starts to get possessed or something, and we had to save him because he was being possessed by Dracula, and then we saved him. And then there was an ending, and we were all standing on a cliff, and I think I said something like, "Why did I save that guy?" And then the castle went away. It was fun. We played a pretty-haired anime boy, as you do, and I had a good time. Darkwood's not on here because I have not beaten it. I don't think I ever will. God, that game's hard. Whispering Willows, that's another indie game. We're going to put that up at... I think I'm going to put that at a C. I don't remember too much. I remember it's a puzzle game where the mechanic is your spirit can leave your body, and so in certain parts you need to be a person that can move physically, and in certain parts you need to be a spirit that can go through walls and talk to ghosts, and that was cool. That was really solid. So as a puzzle game with that mechanic, it was a lot of fun. I would recommend trying it if puzzle games are your thing. But not really my thing. It was kind of a one and done where I was like, yeah, that was a game I played. It was cool. It was cool. So, you like puzzles, you try it. It's cool. Yeah. Clock Tower. I think there. It's a classic. This is the second one. It was the first one I think the America got. But second timeline-wise, because there was a earlier game we didn't get. I've not played that one. I played this one. And it was fun. This is the one where you end up... You're like a reporter or something, and you're talking about the guy that was murdering people in the school, and you're trying to, like, do a police report or something. And then he shows up, and he's following you, and you guys escape through these different places, and then you end up in a castle, and it was fun. I had fun with it. I think I have more fun with the later Clock Tower Haunting Ground. I think Haunting Ground is my favorite of the series. Like, it's just so cool. I like gothic stuff, and it's such a gothic game. And this one just was a little goofier. The plot's not quite as solid, because, like, didn't the dude die in the previous one, and now he's back for some reason? Like, it just, you know, it's kind of an excuse to just keep the story going of guy with scissors murders people. You know, the way they do with Jason. I love the Jason movies, but he just keeps coming back. You know, it is that kind of feeling. But it's a solid, like, I should probably put it up here. It's a solid horror experience. It's really fun. Where's the Suffering? I've not beaten the Suffering game, unfortunately. Speaking of Haunting Ground, I think A is solid for Haunting Ground. There's a few things I'd change. It does the thing Clock Tower does, where it changes antagonist with every chapter, and I don't think it needed to. I think it might have been better if they'd stretched out and kind of built up more of the narrative around the antagonists and not had us rush through them, maybe. I think, or if maybe they had one less. I think if they got rid of the guy with the gun, and we just had Debilitas and Daniela and the final guy, because they were the most interesting. And that would have given you more room to build up and make those experiences feel more powerful. Daniela died too soon. She was so cool. Anyway. I really enjoy that game a lot, though. It's like one of my favorite games, and I have fun with it a lot. There's elements I wish I could tweak. You know, a little bit of tweak. I think we're down to it. Oh no, we got Vampire Coteries, which can go in C tier. This is a Vampire the Masquerade visual novel. I like me a good visual novel. I like me a good vampire narrative, and I've played some of the tabletop games, so I tried it out, and it was fine. I really want more from a visual novel that's supposed to be about, like, the dark and depraved and vampires and such, and it felt basically kind of like a gangster story of, like, clans and crime and things. Like, it was fine. But if I'm going to play, like, my own original character and make my own original choices and do weird shit, let me do weird shit. Let me, like, rip somebody's heart out and eat it. Yeah, like, just, you know, go wild. And it didn't feel like it went wild, you know, when you coulda. You coulda. It's like a D&D game about vampires that are supposed to be very dark. And I just feel like it could have been more than it was. Anyway, we're to the end. We have the Fatal Frames and the Silent Hills left. That was in here twice by accident, so just ignore that. Let's do the Fatal Frames first. We know Fatal Frame 3 is S tier. We know this. All of us know it in our hearts, in our minds, in our souls, S tier. Well, my favorite Fatal Frame game. It's so good. It's all of what Fatal Frame is perfected. And I feel like maybe I need to put it down 1. Maybe I need to put it down 1 for the sole reason of I think the game would have been better if Ray was the only main character. I don't think they needed to do the switcheroo thing. I think they were trying to experiment and push boundaries, which is good, and having multiple characters and multiple perspectives I think is great. I think, and I'm actually going to put this one in top, which is wild because I personally like 3 better. 4 is the solid experience, because 4's narrative works with the multiple perspectives, because it's a murder mystery about these 5 kids who were related to the events from the past, and so each one has a perspective on the mystery, and it gives you a clue to the mystery. This one is not that. It's like 3 different lives and experiences of loss, and we're trying to get into the feeling of the character's loss, and then you move me to another guy. And it's like, but I was feeling her loss for her boyfriend, and I was so sad for her, and now I'm not her. Like, it would be like playing as Heather in Silent Hill 3, and her murder, like, vengeance narrative, and her loss of her dad, and then suddenly you're playing as Douglas. And it's like, well, I guess, but this is, like, not... I'm not feeling it. Like, I was her. I was angry for her, and now I'm not her. Like, that's how I feel with 3. That's my one complaint, is that the game is stronger when you are Ray, and it undermines itself when it takes you away from her. But I can't fault them for experimenting with gameplay, because that's how you grow as a developer, and that's why 4 is, like, really solid. Its only flaws are it was a Wii game, and Wii mechanics don't necessarily translate well to the Switch, and I had so much trouble with that flashlight trying to be like, look at the thing! You have to put the flashlight on the object so the object will show up because it's supposed to be a Wiimote. And that part was a little rough, but I don't know how you can't really change the fundamental programming of something when you're porting it like that, so solid experience. Definitely a game that would be neat to play on the Wii. Fatal Frame 2, I'm gonna put Fatal Frame 2 in an A. I might have done less with it in the past. I've talked about how it's my least favorite Fatal Frame, and that was because two things, really. The environment is a little more open. There's a village rather than a building, and the sensation of being outside, even though we're still trapped in the village, it just feels a little more breathable, a little less frightening, a little less trapped compared to the Mansion of 1, the Manor of Sleep in 3, and the hotel island thing in 4. They all feel a lot more like I'm trapped. And 2 just doesn't quite have that same feeling. And also, the sister sucks. The sister sucks. And, you know, the other games, you have characters where you feel really bad for whoever it is they've lost and or are trying to find. And in the 2 game, I just want her to abandon her sister really bad. Just like, she's such a trip. And so I feel a little less interested in 2. But it's at A because I've been working on a video for 2 lately, and I've found a lot of things in its world building and its narrative that basically go completely under the radar if you're not Japanese. Like, this game has a lot of hidden kind of thematic elements in it that you just would not know if you don't know, like, Japanese flower language and esoteric Buddhist stuff. Like, you just wouldn't know, and it's so much deeper than I thought it was, and it's very, very, very cool. And so now I would definitely put it at A tier. Even, you know, in the past, I find it the least frightening, so maybe I would have put it down there. It's got too much cool stuff in the background. Fatal Frame 1 also goes A tier. Fatal Frame is solid, man. Fatal Frame constantly gives me an experience where I'm, like, about to shit my pants. And it's hard to scare me in games. Fatal Frame is one of the few that has ever done it. I will never forget Long Arms Man. That's something I should say about 4. The ghosts were a little more human. And I wonder if it wasn't possibly limitations on, you know, modern console, trying to develop a new engine, trying to develop for a more, like, they were able to show more of the characters, but maybe that meant they couldn't be as crazy with the dimensions and such. There are some cool ghosts in that game, but nobody like Long Arms Man. Like, God, I'll never forget you, Long Arms Man. You terrify me, and I hate you every time you show up. Broken Neck? Like, God, Fatal Frame is amazing. Every single one of those games. Play them, all of them. I've not played the 5th one, but play it. So good. Alright, we're here. We're here. We'll put these in order. I mean, I've talked about this in the past, but in case you didn't know. People ask me this a lot. They ask, what's your favorites? What's the best one? Here we go. We're gonna say it. I'm gonna decide it now. I think we work backwards. I think this is solid C. I had a good time. It's a solid experience. Feels like a kind of a demo for a concept, you know? They could do a lot with that engine, with the visual effects. I had a good time, and the story was solid. It was there. It was a good experience. Was it mind-blowing? No. Did it blow me out of the water? No. I mean, its existence is incredible that we have a new Silent Hill game, but solid. I would put it there. I have to consider... I like all the Silent Hill games so much more than I like most things on this list. I just love all of them. But I have to also consider just, like, quality-wise. Like, I feel like I need, like, A tier Silent Hill. Like, just a separate thought. Like, I can't put this with these games. It doesn't deserve it, even though it's not my favorite game of all time. Like, I feel like almost all of them need to be up here, because of just how I feel about them. And that's not, you know, like, Origins is not quite that clean of a game. They all need caveats. Silent Hill 1, I'm gonna just put you, come on, S tier. You are an S tier. You deserve it. You're the king. You're Silent Hill. You're S. You are the S. You were amazing. You invented everything. You came up with it. And when it came out, it was a new IP. So there was no expectations. There was no disappointment. There was no fan drama. People were just minds blown by this weird new experimental game that really just did so much cool shit that games are still aping this game 30 however many years later. It's so freaking good. Like, we still have people copying the first game and innovating off it and being inspired by it all these years later. It has to. It has some flaws for the fact that the developers were young and new and experimenting. But that's how you make great art, is you just throw shit at the wall and see what works. And they did it. The Mad Lads did it. And it deserves S tier. It deserves it. Homecoming. I'm going to put Homecoming in B tier. I'm making a video on Homecoming. That's going to be the next video that goes up. I'm kind of planning and spacing out things to try and get ahead and have like a schedule of stuff coming out. Silent Hill Homecoming will be next. I thought it was going to be Wednesday. It's looking like Thursday now, but it's got more going on in it than I gave it credit for. I mean, I knew some things because I've done videos about it in the past, but I decided I wanted to do a whole game, let's go, full experience. And looking at it all as a narrative together, it's really solid. If Alex didn't suck, he's just not interesting. And it's the problem of they built up this narrative about the families really well, and they don't make Alex feel like he's got any of the trauma that the other kids do. All of the other kids with their monstrous forms and their parents' tragedies, they all feel fucked up. And then Alex is like, hi, I was abused my entire life and ignored by my family, and then I was accidentally the cause of my brother's death, and so I spent 4 years in a mental hospital, and I'm normal! Like, he doesn't fucking act like he's out of it. He doesn't have any weird behaviors, or hints, or signs, or personality. He doesn't have panic attacks. Like, he doesn't have anything going on. And so the heart of the narrative feels like he's just a dude, and he doesn't feel like he's connected to the horrors going on around him. And that's the one flaw. That's what keeps it from being like, if that was there, if Alex was a really well-developed character, I would be like, hell yeah. I'd be like, you were amazing. But the family narratives and the clans and those elements are so well done. I really love it. There's a lot of religious kind of Christian Catholic imagery in it, which I think is cool because it's all about a schism from the original cult, but they reversed it where the Protestants are the Catholics. It's really cool. But yeah, it just isn't quite polished. It's not quite there. God, I want to put it higher, but I think it has to go here for solely problems of programming. Silent Hill Downpour had such a rocky release. The programming was so wild. If you had it on PS3, you were boned. I got lucky. I didn't have problems until I started trying to stream the game, and then it started to hate me and crash a lot. But a lot of people on PS3 had problems, and apparently the way to play it is Xbox. And if you can get an Xbox One, that's perfect. Like, it's the Xbox One is like backwards compatible, and it plays Silent Hill Downpour like a dream. So programming-wise, that sucks. Gameplay, world building, narrative, like, it's amazing. The only problem is, and Homecoming has this problem too, where the games have always had multiple endings, and different developers have tried different ways to kind of do that. And the way that Downpour does it, some of the endings, and Homecoming does this too, don't make sense. Like, narratively, they can't be the end of this game, because that's not what happened. Like, you can't tell me, like, in Homecoming, there's an ending where Alex is in the bathtub and his dad's drowning him, and his dad's like, okay, Joshua's going to continue the family. The entire plot of the game is Joshua is dead, and I watched you get cut in half, so why am I in this bathtub? Like, I get that they wanted that was kind of it doesn't quite work. And Downpour has some endings like that, where, like, Murphy's the guy that murdered his son. Well, then why is Murphy feeling guilty and in this forest? What? Why did he kill Napier? That invalidates the whole crime that I'm here for. That I killed Napier for killing my son. I don't understand. So that part is wild. But everything else about Downpour I love so much. I had so much fun playing that game. The side quests, the vision of this like beautiful giant Silent Hill town you could just explore and find random shit in, and mystery things that were just in the environment, leaving you wondering. I want an open world Silent Hill like that again. I really want one. And I kind of, from what we've seen of Silent Hill 2, it looks like it might have some of that, and that would be so cool, and I hope it does. I really hope it does. Okay. Shattered Memories. I think I have to put it down here. I have to. It's not my jam. A lot of people really like it. I think it might be the most liked of the Western games. It's the aesthetic. I like really bloody, visceral horror, and Memories is not that. It's a very cold, somber, kind of quiet horror. The monsters are all kind of these just like abstract mannequins. There's not a lot of blood and guts and gore, and the horror elements are really related to teenage like emotions and bullying, and it didn't appeal to me. It's a really good game. Like, it's a solid game. It probably should be, like, above Short Message and PT. Like, it's a good game. It's just not my jam. It's not my jam. And also the, like, wheelchair section just makes me laugh. I'm sorry. It just looks really funny. It doesn't work to me. It's really, especially because it's meant for the Wii, so that whole time you were supposed to have a Wiimote and be doing like this, and it's like, how is this a horror game? Like, this is stupid. I didn't like that at all. I really didn't. Origins. God, No, I did not mean to do that. Go back up. I meant to do that. And I meant to add a row above, and that's gonna be Origins. Listen, Origins is a special little baby that dared to dream, and we almost didn't get this game. It almost wasn't a game, and then some real true miracle workers came together and said, we are going to drink a lot of coffee and have a lot of sleepless nights, and we're going to make this thing work, and they did it. The Mad Lads made a video game, and it played on a console, and it went from beginning to end, and it finished, and it was a game. And I applaud that happened, that this game managed to be made when you know everything that happened in the background and how fucked they were and how messed up the development was. It's crazy this game existed. As a narrative, messy as hell, does not fit with Silent Hill 1 exactly. The Travis part's really great, and I just wish it was a narrative about Travis. But this whole project started because they originally wanted to port and remake Silent Hill on PSP. That's what it was. They were going to make Silent Hill 1. And when they realized they really didn't know how to do that, it just kind of became a prequel. And they wrote this really messy story that didn't make any sense. And then that studio went under because the guy in charge of it was a fucknut. And a studio associated with them across the ocean got the ball of yarn that they had thrown together, and they had to pull it out and be like, oh shit, what do we do with this shit? And they managed to finish a game. It's a very messy game, and nothing related to Silent Hill 1 makes any sense in it. Lisa makes no sense. Dahlia makes some sense. It's a mess. And it's because the development was so troubled. But because of, I know the development problems, I'm really fond of the game as a work of art, and just, the story of how it existed is really fun, and I did have fun playing it. It's a fun game to play, and in Japan, they're actually really fond of it, because, portable games are really popular, and there's a lot of fan art of, Travis with 12 TVs on his back, because he's got such a big back, and can carry all this shit. Why mess with what you don't understand? So, the Konami, the home company in Japan, wanted to make PSP Silent Hill. And so they sought out the company that made PSP games and said, do this. And then the company that was doing it said, we can't do this. And so they were like, we'll make something. And they tried. And the company that they gave it to was fucked. There is entire articles about it from the time it happened where management sucked, and money was nowhere, and everybody on the team was looking around like, is this building on fire? Because I smell smoke. And then everybody got laid off and the place went under, and it was a hot mess. And Origins happened to be the project they were working on when all that hot mess went down. So it was fucked from the beginning. It was always going to be a mess. But I think it's an absolute miracle that the people who got that mess managed to make something from it in a really short time with a really small budget, because Konami didn't hear about all this and go, we should do the responsible thing. They said, here's $5. Finish video game, or we will kill your dog. And then they had to finish the game. Which, because they did manage to do that, I think Konami said, okay, make whatever you want to make. And then they actually made a Silent Hill 1 inspired game with Shattered Memories. And I think that's really cool. But, yeah, it's obviously a hot mess. Hot mess. Fun game. Hot mess. Alright. We know where this is going, don't we? Don't we? It's going here. It is. I love it so much, but it's just not polished. It's just not... It's a little rough. And the developers admit this. There was a whole interview about how they had to cut boss fights. They had to cut puzzles. They had to cut all this stuff because their timeline was fucked, and they didn't have any budget, and they didn't have any time. And so to meet Konami's expectations, they kept having to cut corners, and the developers really felt disappointed because there were a lot of things they wanted to include that they couldn't. And because of that, the game definitely feels like pieces of it are missing, but everything else about it is so surreal and creepy and lovely. It's so haunting and strange. There's so many really weird elements of it. It's just such a good experimental title, and I wish it was just a little cleaner. And my hope and prayer, so many, like, Silent Hill 4 elements were in Short Message, and Short Message succeeded really well. It's obvious the director, who was Atsushi... No, that Atsushi Taniguchi was Kuon. What am I thinking? The guy that directed Short Message was, like, cutscene director on 4, and he obviously loves 4 and remembers it fondly because he put it in Message, and Message got like 2 million downloads for a free game, and that's successful. So I hope that means the guy, like the director, you know, maybe he has some power and influence, and he clearly still loved 4, and maybe we could remake it. We could remake it. You could do it in-house with the original team. You could remake a 4, you know, maybe 2 succeeds, you remake a 4. You know, I would love that. I would love that, especially because to me, a big part of why that game succeeds is its cutscenes, and the visuals are so haunting and so good, and that was that guy, so that would be great. Yeah, he's the guy that made the trailer. The dude that made the trailer directed Short Message. Like, oh my god. Anyway, yeah. Silent Hill 3. I think I would, I think I'm going to put it in S. I think I am. It's weakened by the fact that it is a sequel to a game from a different generation. It's got that problem that a lot of games have, like Devil May Cry 5, Kingdom Hearts 3. Sometimes games take a long time to make, and sequels can be far apart, and it can feel weird to come to a game and be like, well, I don't know what's going on or who these people are, because I did not play the game from 10 years ago, you know. And so Silent Hill 3, as a sequel, it's always going to have that problem of you're going to miss context if you've not played the first one. And, you know, and that can be a problem because it has a 3 in the title and not a 2. So, you know, there was some confusion, I think, when it first came out, where some people were like, why am I, you know, do I need to play 2? And it's like, well, no, but you need to play 1. Like, and for that, it is an issue. But everything the game is doing is so good. The themes, the visuals, Heather, the character writing in this game is so strong. The visuals are beautiful. They stand up to the present day. And as a piece with the first game, the story is so good. The narrative is so good. It's why I like Village. Like, it's just the same kind of narrative, and 1 and 3 do it so good. And I love it so much, and I'm still just always, Heather, always blown away by that whole narrative. It just moves me every time, every damn time. I love it so much. And now we come to Silent Hill 2. And I'm going to put it in A tier because it is a very good game, a very solid experience, an incredible narrative, a great twist. I like 1 and 3 better. I like 4 better too because I like the ghost stories and the visceral elements and stuff. You cannot argue that Silent Hill 2 is not one of the best put together narratives ever. Gameplay-wise, I find it less fun. I think in 3, they really learned how to make the gameplay loop more entertaining, and there's more elements, I think, that make it more fun to play and fight monsters. 2 was a little rougher on that end for me. I'm sure there's other folks out there who know more about the combat who are going to be like, no, you're wrong, because but I just always had more fun playing as Heather. And 2, I love it. It's so good. But 3 is my Silent Hill. 3 is my Silent Hill. And I love it to pieces. I love 4 too, but I think 3, if I remember, my memories are very, very vague, but Silent Hill the movie, which came out in 2006, is how I heard about the games. That's how I knew what they were. I saw it at a friend's house, or was it my house? I think it was a friend's house for Halloween, and I loved it. I was so like, oh my god, this is so cool. It's a video game. I gotta know what it is. And there was a used game store down the street that we went to all the time that happened to have Silent Hill 3. I remember the day I saw it on the shelf, and I was like, Mom, I gotta have it. And thank God she did not read the back. She just saw a girl in the front, was like, okay, you can have the video game, and I got it. I think I got 2 and 4 around that time, but I don't remember, like, I vividly remember seeing 3 and being so excited. So that's why I think it's the one I got first, because I was just like, that's the movie, and I wanted to play the game. And so then I played it, and of course I had no idea what the background was. It still worked for me, because it kind of, explains a little bit of, your dad is murdered, you're hiding from someone, like, it still works, even if you don't know the, like, history of Harry and everything. Like, it worked for me, and she was such a cool female character at a time when those were very rare, and as a kid, she meant a lot to me. And so, like, comparing 3 to 2, like, I'm just always 3 is gonna be the one. 3's gonna be the one. But I can't argue that 2's narrative isn't just, like, bomb. It's the bomb. It is very, very good. How much did the games cost back then? Like $30 maybe. It was not. I mean, $30 for a used game is a lot, but it's nothing like today. I mean, I got Clock Tower 3 in a sales bin for $5 at GameStop. And now I think it sells for like at least $100. Oh man. I got Kodelka, I think for like $80 or something online. I don't have any physical games really anymore, except for like 2, because during 2020 I sold them all for cash monies. I got Silent Hill 1 on the PS3 store, and that was pretty cheap. Same for the Fatal Frame games. Those are still on PS3 store. Yeah, I probably didn't pay too much for them. Thoughts on Haunting Ground? We discussed that one earlier. It is quite a good game. Very good. Few flaw. So, wow, yeah, this makes sense to me, even though I at the beginning of this I wasn't entirely sure, but yes, these are the games. Fata Morgana, Deathmark, Hellblade, Dead Space, Signalis, Devil May Cry 5, Devil May Cry, Fatal Frame 4, SMT Nocturne, Silent Hill 3, and Resident Evil Village. That's my solid best horror games I've played. Yeah. And then these are like standouts, absolute standouts, but for one reason or another, a little bit like, I have critiques, whereas of these games, I have like almost no critiques. Very small critique. Very small. I think that's the only one. Maybe I should put it down here with the other Fatal Frames, where it's like very small critique, very small, but it feels wrong not to have a Fatal Frame in the top row. I have less critiques for the first Fatal Frame. I think the first Fatal Frame deserves to be up here. Yeah. Because even though the gameplay and aesthetic were perfected in the later games, I just have some issues with some elements of them. The first game is not as well polished, but story, narrative, gameplay, everything is perfect package. So I put that there. Village is just RE4 and FPS farm. Well, I would argue no. RE4 is way more lighthearted and way more goofy, and 8 is dealing with some, like, big parenting themes that it does really well that I really love. Like we need more stories about the evil mother, and this game is about the evil mother. It's like the Dahlia, and we've got, in this one, you've got Dimitrescu and her daughters. We've got Miranda, who pretends to be your wife, who you have problems with, and so you already have an issue with the very first scene of an evil mother holding your baby. And Mia, who is not an evil mother, but like the presentation of the like troubled marriage with the innocent baby, like, and then Ethan, beautiful, self-sacrificing, noble Ethan, the father, saving the baby. It's the Silent Hill narrative all over again, reversing gender roles, presenting us with these lovely evil women, some of the best evil women I've ever seen. Like, Miranda is nuts, and she's great, like, awesome, beautiful, evil women. And, I mean, we just need more narratives about how dads are great. We don't get enough good dads. We don't. I think we're getting more, because more dads are now making things, but, like, I'll never forgive what's-his-face, Christoph Gans, and Harry can't be a man because men don't care about their children. Like, well, fuck you, mister. Play Resident Evil 8. Men care about their children. Anyway. Yeah, Ethan and the narrative of the father and daughter, I love it. And it's a gothic game. Like I said, like, gothic settings, I love gothic settings. Like, it worked for me. It did. Resident Evil 4 is... it's fun. I really love the game. Narratively, it's not that strong because you're just like a guy on a mission for the government. And I mean, he's got like a rivalry with another buff guy, and he's got to save the president's daughter. It's an action movie, and it's fun, and it's campy. But Ethan, slowly crumbling to pieces, he gets his heart ripped out, and he stands back up again, and like, goddamn. Harry Mason to your dad right there is great. It's absolutely great. I really love it. I am an idiot, thank you. We didn't grade Forbidden Siren because these are games I've beaten or played a lot of, and I've never finished Siren. I'm not good at it. I've gotten better at the combat, but I've never been able to figure out, like, the items thing. When we played it last time, I just could not get through this one chapter where it kept telling me to play it again, and I missed something. I was like, what the fuck am I missing? And then a fan actually mailed me the physical guidebook to the game, and I still couldn't make it work. I was following the guidebook, and it still was... I felt so bad. Resident Evil 7's also one I've not finished, which is really funny. I've played one remake, 2 remake, 3 remake, 4 the original, 5... and Revelations, and 8. Oh, and Resident Evil 3 Remake. Those are the ones that I've finished. The old games, I played little bits of, but I never finished them. Like I've mentioned, I am bad at shooting games, and additionally, shooting games with fixed cameras, I suck. I'm not good at them. The modern remakes were easier, and I had a good time with them, but Resident Evil's never been my favorite game series. The 8 was kind of, I was surprised when I put it so high, but like I've been rewatching a stream of it lately, and it just, the story and the vibes are just great. Gameplay loop is really fun. I had a good time with it, and it's a unique narrative compared to like 2, where I really love 2, but having to replay the story twice to get all the things and the whole story really bugged me. I just didn't enjoy playing it twice, but I really had fun. I do need to play PS3 Siren. You cannot get it in America because it was like a Europe-only release or something, like physically, and I don't think you can get it digitally, so it's on, oops. I think I just knocked something down. It's on my list to do. We've been talking about video games for 2 hours. God damn. Anyway, I had a lot of fun. These are my video games. I have other video games I would put can I download? This is just horror. Download image. Did that work? I did it. My image. There you go. I don't know why you just popped up. I had a good time. I think this is pretty solid on my feelings about video games. Can yeah, these are the ones that I've beaten mostly, that I've personally played. There's a lot of horror games out there I've watched people play, but I feel like that's a different experience. So, you know, these are the ones I've played and had a good time with. I think, honestly, everything from there up, from like, ignore this line, and I'd say all these games are worth playing or trying. I really, honestly, if I finished it, I probably had fun. If I don't like a game, I'm not gonna finish it. I'm not. Like, that's what happened with Call of Cthulhu. I got so frustrated at the end, but there's still a lot of good stuff. Like, there's fun to be found. It just was really technically janky. But, like, yeah, I would recommend all these games. If any of them sounded interesting to you, I would try them. They're fun. These are just, like, the ones that keep me awake at night thinking about how amazing they are and beautiful they are. Honestly, all of Fatal Frame and Silent Hill, in a way, goes here, because personally, I just really love those games. But I know that, like, you know, if I'm trying to evaluate them a little more evenly, I have to kind of just consider different flaws and things. I'm just obsessed with Fatal Frame and Silent Hill. They're just great. They're my thing. Yeah. We will do more of this at some point, because right now I'm working on, I want to try and set up videos ahead of time and have them set to come out a few days, like at 2 or 3 a week. Members get them a little early, like a day early or something, and have it ahead of time so that I'm not always like, I gotta make another video. I post it. I gotta make another video. And I'd really like to do that now as we're leading into Silent Hill 2, because I think it'd be neat to try and get some traction, build up some attention before that game comes out, and try and get people together. So I'm trying to make a lot of videos right now, which means I'm very brain dead. So playing games right now, I was like, I don't feel like playing anything. But this was fun, so maybe people actually showed up and had fun just listening to me yammer about nothing. So we'll do this again. Maybe, I don't know, all games, horror movies or horror books might be fun. I've read a lot of horror books. That might be fun. So we'll do something. I don't know if it'll be tomorrow. I may try and alternate and video day, stream day. Anyway, a Silent Hill Homecoming video will be coming out this week. It's going to be an analysis of the whole game, kind of a Silent Hill symbolism style thing. YouTube does not like short videos, and I found my last couple of videos just aren't doing what I want them to do when I need them to do, because they're short. So I was like, instead of just making a video about this level of the game, just do the whole game. You know, that feels overwhelming, but then I was like, well, I'm sure lots of YouTubers do that. Why not just try it and see if it works? So we will do all of Silent Hill Homecoming. You arrived late to defend Condemned. Oh, man. Condemned, you can look back and see. I liked Condemned a lot. I just don't think it aged well. I think it aged poorly, that's all. But I loved it as a kid. It was really fun. Anyway. And I need to play the second one, if only because I remember there was an infamous scene with a bear. I just remember the bear and this one YouTube video of these guys trying to escape from the bear and being unable to figure it out, and they kept dying, and it would just be like, okay, we got it, everybody stay still, we got it. And then the bear's like head breaks through the door and they're like, ah! It was so funny. Oh my god. Anyway, I should stop talking before my voice actually leaves me. Thank you for watching. Again, sorry about the stream setup. I don't know how to OBS, so I'm gonna have to figure out something else for future. Until then, thanks for watching. And I guess I just have to sit here for a minute because I don't want it to cut off the end of the video. And thank you all for being here, and thank you to members like Daniel and Caffeine and Jeff and Lobsol and Mother Caption and Caffeine. Did I say yes? You, classic person that was here for the first ever stream. That's incredible. I can't believe people like you are real. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye.